Please open your books to page 696. We are continuing Chapter 9, Lesson 3. Today we'll focus on problem solving. And this particular problem, it talks about traffic signs, and the yield sign is shown on the left. And that means that you're supposed to let other people go in front of you that are, coming towards you from a street that is merging with where you are. So here's the deal. It says that one of these angles is equal to 2/3 times x. And we know from yesterday that every equilateral triangle has a measure of 60 degrees for every angle. And so it says 2/3 times x is equal to 60. Now, just like we've been talking about before, 2/3 times x, that's a multiplication problem. And we have to divide by 2/3 to get rid of 2/3. That's going to turn into 1. So we have to know how to do 60 divided by 2/3. And this becomes a little complicated because if you divide by a fraction, which is essentially division, you got to remember how to do it. And so that magically tells us the answer is 90, but we're going to review how to do this. So basically, over here, we're going to take our 60, and we're going to divide it by 2/3. Now, we've watched several videos about this. Essentially, what we're supposed to do is we're going to multiply by the inverse. Because multiplication and division are in the same fact family, the inverse multiplied is going to give us the same result as dividing by 2/3. And the video that we watched a lot, it has that a shorter way of thinking about it is keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the 60 the same, but we are going to put it up on 1 to make it an improper fraction. We're going to change the division to what? What's the opposite of division? Very good. Multiplication. And we're going to show that not with an x. We're going to move away from using x. We're going to show it with parentheses. And if we flip, what is the inverse of 2/3? That's going to be 3/2. Okay? So 60 times 3. What is 6 times 3? Answer that for me. Of course, it's going to be 18. And if we're multiplying by a multiple of 10, then all we have to do is put the 0 here. So this becomes 1 times 2 is 2. Now we just have to simplify this improper fraction. And of course, 18 divided by 2 is 9. And so that's going to be 90. Half of 180 is 90. That's how they got this 90. Multiplying by the inverse is how you divide a fraction, or keep, change, flip. So go ahead and turn the page till you get to number 12. And number 12 says it's a multi-step problem. So we're not going to panic. We're going to just read the question once, and then we're going to go back and underline what we're being asked to find, and we're going to circle important information. The rhombus can be formed by using two equilateral triangles. Write and solve an equation to determine the value of z in the rhombus shown. Okay, so I am going to underline what I'm being asked to find, and that is the value of z. And the important information is that these are equilateral triangles, and over here we have 5/12 times z is equal to that. So we know that 5/12 times z is equal to 60 degrees, because all equilateral triangles have angles, are made up of angles that are 60 degrees. So if we have 5/12 times z, what is the opposite that we're going to use? The inverse of multiplication to get rid of that. That's correct. We're going to divide. So we're going to divide 5/12 by 5/12, and as you can see, we're dividing something smaller than 1. We're dividing division. So that's what makes it confusing. We have to remember how to divide by a decimal. So we're going to, this is going to become 1. And so we're going to have z down here by itself, which is exactly what we want. But now we have to divide by 5/12. Okay, so we are going to have to multiply by the reciprocal. We're going to do the inverse of division, and we're going to do the inverse of 5/12. And so remember, keep, change, flip if you want to. That may be easier to remember than multiply by the reciprocal, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to make 60 over 1, and then we're going to multiply. Do not write x because that will be confused with another variable. We're going to multiply by drawing our parentheses. We're going to put the 12 over the 5 because that's a reciprocal. Okay, so now we're going to multiply. Now, one way we can do this is to actually reduce first. How many times can 5 go into 60? I know this is a multiple of 5 because it ends with 0. Very good. The answer is 12. And then 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now I made it much easier. Instead of multiplying 60 times 12 and then having to divide by 5, I divided 5 and 60 by 5, and now all I have to do is know what 12 times 12 is. And 12 times 12 is what number? Give you a hint, it starts with a 1. Very good. That is 144 over 1, which of course reduces to 144. So z is equal to 144. We're going to come down here and practice this because when you take the STAR test, it makes you bubble in griddable responses sometimes. And this is based on place value. So you can see the decimals here. So this is the ones place, this is the tens place, this is the hundreds place, this is the thousands place. This side are going to be decimals. This is the 10th space, and this is the 100th space. So if I were to write 144, the 4 is equivalent to 1. Then we have the 4 that's equivalent to 10. Then we have the 1 that's equivalent to 100. And then you're going to bubble in the 1 underneath the 100, bubble the 4 for 40, and bubble the 4 for 1. You don't bubble anything over here because you don't have to write and 0 100ths. You just write 144. And this is exactly how this needs to look. Hopefully you've been taking notes and writing down all the examples. You're going to do the next 4 questions on your own, but we will do some of them tomorrow during Math Live. Please come to Math Live so you can do examples with us, get part of your work done, ask questions. And remember, I'm not going to accept sloppy work where you just write down a few little scribbles and get full credit. You have to practice and do it correctly, and sometimes do it more than one time to get your full points, because these are the examples we're going to use when you have to do tests by yourself. So this is the time of the day that we stop and think, what is something important that we need to remember from today's lesson? It might be something we talked about more than one time, so think carefully about that. Do not say the lesson. Do not say what you taught. Do not say the examples. Please think about this, because if you cop out and just do like something simple like that, then I'm not going to give you full points. I'll send you an email saying, hey, you have to redo this video to earn your points. Be thoughtful about your final answer. Do it right the first time. Go ahead and answer that question for me. What is something important to remember about today's lesson? Very good. Thank you for your thoughtful answer. Come to class, do good work, complete your work, get it turned in. Preferably on the day that it's assigned. Do not get behind and get snowed under, because really we're not making you do a lot of work, but if you have to do several days' work at one time, it feels very overwhelming. So don't put yourself in that position. Take care.